The local government news roundup is supported this month by the National Growth Areas Alliance Emerging Growth Areas Forum. Australia is working towards 1.2 million new homes over 5 years, and growth councils are on the front line of delivering them. It's not just about land release and planning approvals, it's about getting the roads, drainage, schools, libraries and community infrastructure right from day one. And that's the focus of the 2026 Emerging Growth Areas Forum, hosted by the National Growth Areas Alliance on Tuesday the 4th of August at Hume City Council Town Hall in Broadmeadows. It's running alongside the NGAA National Congress. For the first time, council leaders from emerging and established growth areas will come together to share what's worked and what hasn't in managing rapid growth, covering organisational readiness, working with developers, building community trust, and making the case for state and federal investment. If your council is facing rapid population growth, this is a forum built for you. Registration is open now to all local governments. Head to the NGAA website, ngaa.org.au, to secure your place. Making news today, Campaspe CEO quits for a role in the city. A council warning that data centres could derail housing plans. A controversial paid parking plan scrapped by a Sydney council. More councillors under scrutiny in a new ICAC public inquiry. An 11th hour call to ditch a costly by-election. A new CEO for Charters Towers and a WA shire. A council's principled stand on event sponsorship reversed. And the UK peak body's CEO resigns. Hello, it's Chris Eddy, and this is the Local Government News Roundup. All of that and more just ahead on Australia's #1 go-to podcast for local government news. Brought to you by the VLGA, the national broadcaster on all things local government, Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences, and Rath Engineering Development, smarter local government systems, built from real on-the-ground experience. It is Thursday, the 2nd of July. Welcome to the podcast. Making news in Victoria today. Campaspe Shire Council CEO Pauline Gordon has resigned after nearly 4 years in the role, accepting a senior position with the City of Boroondara. She's the second Victorian Council CEO to resign this week after Bradley Thomas announced his departure from Hepburn Shire on Monday. Campaspe Mayor Councillor Daniel Mackrell thanked Ms Gordon for her leadership through the 2022 and 2024 flood events, COVID-19 and a range of significant infrastructure and community projects. Ms Gordon's last day is the 26th of August. Council will now begin the formal process to appoint a new Chief Executive Officer. The City of Greater Geelong has warned that local councils risk becoming spectators as state-approved data centres consume land originally earmarked for residential growth. The Geelong Advertiser reported that the warning comes as data centre operator NextDC acquires a 170-hectare site in Lovely Banks. Geelong Council is calling on the Victorian Government to urgently release its data centre strategy and ensure local government retains a seat at the planning table to safeguard long-term regional housing supply. The Borough of Queenscliff is launching a review of its aged care services to determine whether council should keep providing in-home support through the Commonwealth Home Support Program or transition clients to other providers. Council says there are no immediate changes and current care will continue as usual. A final decision is expected late this year, with residents encouraged to provide feedback by phone or email through Council. Hobsons Bay City Council has adopted a back-to-basics budget for 2026-27 with a rates rise below the state's rate cap. The plan forecasts a $5.7 million operating surplus and will pay down more than $2.5 million in debt. Nearly $60 million is set aside for capital works. Residential rates will rise by an average 1.84%. Also, among a number of councils adopting their budgets this week is Glen Ira City Council, which has approval for a one-year variation to the rate cap. An increase of 5% will generate an additional $3 million in revenue for the council's $240 million budget. Regional roads and financial sustainability are front of mind for the Mayor of the rural city of Wangaratta. And this week on VLGA Connect, Councillor Irene Grant doesn't hold back on either front. On roads, Wangaratta has put its support behind data identifying the Great Alpine Road as Victoria's most hazardous highway. And Councillor Grant says the funding ask from the Regional Cities Group reflects the true scale of the problem.
And we've asked the government to commit to $2 billion to attend to the maintenance of roads across the regional centres in Victoria. And, we're already told that, $2 billion is simply going to be a drop in the ocean.
And with the new CEO flagging around $3 million in savings needed, Councillor Grant is equally direct about what cost shifting is doing to councils like hers.
For us, cost shifting means something in the realm of almost $2 million. So that's had a big impact on us.
Look for that full conversation with Wangaratta Mayor Councillor Irene Grant on VLGA Connect, coming on Friday on YouTube and in your podcast playlist. Now, if you've been to our new website lately, you might have noticed we now have a weekly poll, and we're looking forward to getting your thoughts on various issues of interest across the local government sector. And for the past week, we've asked you whether political donations to council election candidates should be banned. Now, that poll's been closed off, and the final wash-up after a late flurry of votes is that 84% of those who participated think yes, those donations should be banned. 10% say no, and 6 are yet to be convinced. Now, that's been a controversial issue in Victoria of late, with Operation Sandon making a range of recommendations with regard to political donations. And they were expected to be in that new bill before the Victorian Parliament amending the Local Government Act. But alas, they're not there, and the government says they'll be dealt with around the time of the 2028 council elections. Thanks for having your say on that. There's a new poll on the site now, and we're looking for your thoughts on whether these large rate increases that we're seeing in various parts of the country and in New Zealand are a failure of state and federal funding models, or are they necessary decisions by councils managing real cost pressures? Or is it neither? Have your say now on our poll at our website, the Local Government News Roundup, www.lgnewsroundup.com. In Sydney, Randwick City Council has voted to reject a controversial paid beach parking proposal following intense community opposition. The Daily Telegraph reported on a tense Tuesday night council meeting where 2/3 of the 15-member council voted against the recommended plan, which aimed to generate up to $3.6 million annually for coastal infrastructure. The decision leaves the council seeking alternative funding streams to cover a $23 million beach maintenance deficit. While some believed the plan would shift the financial burden away from local ratepayers, opponents were supported by a petition with over 11,000 signatures. The decision means parking will remain free for visitors at several of Sydney's popular beaches, including Coogee and Maroubra. The New South Wales Independent Commission Against Corruption has announced a public inquiry as part of its Operation Rosny investigation. Among the allegations is a specific charge against 2 Strathfield councillors, Councillor Sharangan Maheshwaran and Councillor Karen Pensabine, who are alleged to have engaged in conduct toward fellow councillor Matthew Blackmore that could involve the dishonest exercise of their official functions, a breach of public trust, and possible blackmail. The allegations also concern people associated with the Liberal Party New South Wales Division, the CEO of Catholic Schools New South Wales, Dallas McInerney, property developer Jean Nassif, and hotelier Michael O'Hara. The inquiry is expected to run for 8 weeks, commencing on the 27th of July. Kiama Municipal Council has unanimously voted to ask the New South Wales Minister for Local Government to allow it to operate with 8 councillors until 2028, rather than hold a by-election. The by-election, already scheduled for the 22nd of August following the resignation of Councillor Mike Keynes, is estimated to cost around $200,000. And Mayor Cameron McDonald says the council, which remains under a New South Wales Government Performance Improvement Order, cannot afford that hit on its current budget. The minister's decision is awaited. An environmental row has peaked on the New South Wales south coast, with a controversial subdivision at Mossy Point receiving the green light from Eurobodalla Shire Council. 2EC reported that Mayor Matt Hatcher was forced to call for order multiple times during a tense debate over the 14-lot proposal, which local ecologists warn will heavily clear high-value zones and impact threatened species. A motion to block the development failed on a 4-all deadlock, and the mayor used his casting vote to push the original application through. And Tamworth Regional Council has voted to begin the process of selling Ray Walsh House, including the adjoining car park on its north and western side. Ray Walsh House is a brutalist-style building on Peel Street, purchased by Tamworth City Council in the 1990s. It was opened by Queen Elizabeth in 1977 and for some time served as the headquarters of Tamworth Regional Council. It's regarded as one of the city's most recognisable civic landmarks. Councillors approved the sale by 5 votes to 3 following a Town Hall community information session and a submission period through May. An expression of interest process will now be run to appoint a sales agent, with General Manager Paul Bennett to report back to Council before any sale proceeds. A second car park on the south and eastern side of the building will be offered as an option to any future purchaser. In Queensland, Charters Towers Regional Council has appointed Michelle Clark as its new CEO. Council resolved the appointment at a special meeting on the 24th of June. Mrs Clark brings multi-council CEO experience, having previously led both Richmond and Balonne Shire councils in New South Wales and Queensland, respectively. She commences her role on the 24th of August. Blackall-Tambo Regional Council has welcomed a decision by the Queensland Redistribution Commission to reject proposed changes to the region's state electoral boundaries. The Commission had earlier proposed splitting the Blackall-Tambo region across separate electorates, prompting the Council to run a community survey and lodge formal submissions. The region will remain within the Gregory electorate. Mayor Andrew Martin credited the result to coordinated advocacy from the community, neighbouring councils, regional mayors and local state representatives. Somerset Regional Council has adopted a $100 million budget for the new financial year, delivering a 6% increase to general rates to fund key infrastructure. The budget includes a projected $4.1 million operating deficit, driven by grant timing differences and a new corporate management system. Mayor Jason Wendt says the difficult decisions have been made, focusing on long-term stewardship, noting that Somerset remains one of the few South East Queensland councils operating with no debt or overdraft facility. More from the Sentinel News. And the state's Electoral Commission has officially declared Nathan Gordon-Brotherton elected to Winton Shire Council's Division 1, following a by-election last month. To South Australia, and 2 councils there are celebrating their roles in next January's Santos Tour Down Under. The city of Charles Sturt will host the men's Stage 1 start from Henley Square on the 19th of January, with around 25,000 spectators having attended this year's event at the same location. Meanwhile, the city of Norwood, Payneham and St Peters will host the start of the final stage on Sunday the 24th of January, a first in the race's history, with both the men's and women's pelotons tackling an identical 136-kilometre route from Norwood to Stirling. It marks the first time a UCI World Tour race has run men's and women's stages over the same distance on the same course on the same day. Meanwhile, Adelaide Hills Council has reversed its decision to lobby the state government over the Tour Down Under's corporate sponsorship. Adelaide Now reports that councillors have voted to rescind a motion urging a shift away from fossil fuel giant Santos. The council will instead write to the Premier to respectfully encourage sustainability criteria for future state-supported events. And in news out of Western Australia, the Shire of Woodanilling has announced the appointment of Signe Balotis as its new Chief Executive Officer. Moving from her current role as Director of Council Services at the East Arnhem Regional Council in the Northern Territory, Ms Balotis will officially commence in the Shire on the 24th of August. The city of Greater Geraldton has selected a new operator for its Hire e-scooter scheme, with the council voting this week to enter into a deed of agreement with ARIO, replacing the current operator Beam Mobility. The 1-year agreement includes a possible 2-year extension subject to council approval. That followed an expression of interest process that attracted just the 2 submissions, with ARIO selected partly on the strength of its advanced safety features, including pedestrian detection and helmet use monitoring. And the Shire of Sandstone has released a discussion paper reviewing its elected member numbers. The council is seeking community feedback on whether to reduce its current 6 positions down to 5 to avoid tied votes or to retain the status quo. Public submissions close on the 19th of August. Support for the Local Government News Roundup comes from Rath Engineering Development, smarter systems for local government, like Red GMS. This is helping councils to manage gravel pits, track quality, test results, blending options and haulage, and know the true cost per tonne from those projects from day one. Rath Engineering Development can give you a one-off report that uses your existing pit data to pinpoint the best gravel sources for your next resheeting program or disaster restoration works. And that's going to save your council time and money. James at Rath Engineering Development has been busy with Red GMS, with lots of councils recognising the value of this tool. And if you'd like to get in and find out more about that, I recommend you do so quickly. You can find out more by heading to rathed.com.au for local government systems built from real on-the-ground experience. Talk to James and the team at Rath Engineering Development. They are terrific supporters of the Local Government News Roundup, and I'm rapt to have them on board. Now let's wrap up this Thursday edition with some international news. We're going across to New Zealand, where the Western Bay of Plenty District Council has announced it's narrowing its focus on local government reform, voting to advance just 2 potential merger options ahead of the government's looming fast-track deadline next month. Councillors have dropped 3 of 5 potential pathways, choosing instead to explore either a single region-wide mega-council for the entire Bay of Plenty or a smaller sub-regional authority combined with Tauranga City. The move follows recent public feedback showing nearly 3/4 of local residents support or are open to amalgamation. A definitive vote on whether to formally submit the proposal will take place on the 30th of July. Meanwhile, the council has confirmed a rates increase of 5.1% for the year ahead, following what it calls a series of deliberate and measured decisions to manage costs while maintaining essential services. Selwyn District Council in the South Island Central Canterbury region has locked in its leadership for the road ahead. Acting Chief Executive Steve Gibbling has officially been appointed to the role permanently and effective from this week. Mayor Lydia Glidden says Mr Gibbling's steady hand over the last 7 months proved he's the right fit to navigate what he calls the biggest reform of local government since the 1980s. In the UK, Joanna Killian has resigned as Chief Executive of the Local Government Association, confirming she won't return after a period of ill health and since taking unexpected leave in January. The LGA says its focus remains on supporting staff and pushing ahead with a major change program, including plans to cut more than 10% of its workforce. Interim Chief Executive Jenny Rowlands will stay on while recruitment begins for a permanent replacement. In the US, a civil grand jury report has criticised a Californian council. The report cites internal dysfunction and behaviour that has eroded public trust in Stockton City Council. The Governance in Turmoil report notes the friction has led to a loss of qualified municipal staff. As reported by KCRA News, the administration has 90 days to implement recommended policy reforms. Also in California, Governor Gavin Newsom's office has signed a statewide deal with Anthropic, giving state agencies discounted access to the Claude AI assistant alongside free workforce training. The offer will extend to Californian cities and counties, with the Department of Motor Vehicles and Department of Healthcare Services already piloting its use. More on that from CBS Sacramento. And in Canada, Ontario's Windsor City Council is warning of a nearly $5.5 million shortfall in its 2026 operating budget, and that comes after approving a 0% tax increase. Most of the pressure comes from Transit Windsor, forecasting a $5.1 million deficit with lower revenue and higher operating costs. The city says it may need to dip into its budget stabilisation reserve, but the report warns using it could exhaust the fund. CTV News has more on that story. And that's your Roundup Daily Update for Thursday the 2nd of July 2026, brought to you by the VLGA, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with a new episode of VLGA Connect coming on Friday. And support for our show comes from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences, and Rath Engineering Development, smarter local government systems built from real on-the-ground experience. You can head to our website, lgnewsroundup.com, to participate in our weekly poll, to subscribe to receive alerts when new episodes and breaking news is published, and to read a transcript with story links from this episode and other episodes of the Roundup. The local government news roundup is recorded in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation. I'll be back with more tomorrow to round out the week. Until then, thanks for listening and bye for now. Support for the local government news roundup comes from Rath Engineering Development, smarter systems for local government, like Red GMS, helping councils manage gravel pits and projects, track quality, test results, blending options and haulage, and know the true cost per tonne from day one. Rath Engineering Development can give you a one-off report that uses your existing pit data to pinpoint the best gravel sources for your next resheeting program or disaster restoration works, saving your council time and money. For local government systems built from real on-the-ground experience, talk to the team at Rath Engineering Development. Head to rathed.com.au to find out more.